I don't think it is hyperbole to say Aaron Rodgers on the Jets is Joe Namath on the Rams. It is Johnny Unitas on the Chargers. It is a sad old man that is sputtering to the end of a Hall of Fame career, and it's ugly and it's depressing. Today, watching Rodgers and that offense through the first quarter and a half was mind-numbing. They had, of their first 4 possessions, 3 consecutive 3-and-outs, and then the 4th possession, they went 4 downs and got stopped on 4th and short. 4 possessions, 3 punts, and stopped on 4th down. Now, they found a little rhythm midway through the game. But then Anthony Richardson leads the drive to take the lead, and a fantastic touchdown plow through by him at the goal line. And so now it's up to Aaron Rodgers to lead his team back down the field to try to get a dramatic victory with your season on the line. And if we're going to kill an Anthony Richardson for boneheaded decisions as a youngster, and we're going to kill guys like Jordan Love for bad throws, errant decision-making when it matters most, we have to be able to kill Aaron Rodgers, a veteran, doing the same damn thing. Because Rodgers has now ended games this season for the Jets on interceptions, multiple, and now taking a sack that is completely unacceptable. I mean, come on. Throughout history, what do we say there? You can't take a sack, you can't take a sack, you can't take a sack. Take an intentional grounding. Just throw it away. Just chuck at the moment that something's gone awry. But you cannot take a sack there. If he had thrown it to a player inbounds and the guy gets tackled, we'd kill the wide receiver or the tight end. You can't take a sack there, and he did. And for a guy that wanted to publicly put Mike Williams on blast and say he's got a red line, and this is where the pattern's supposed to be. I threw it to where he's supposed to be. That's why it was intercepted. Well, he can own this one and say, you know what? A rookie quarterback knows to throw it away and not take a sack there. This is ugly. It is sad. It is depressing. It is a guy that should not come back and play football next year. It's a guy that probably shouldn't have come back this year to play football after the Achilles injury last season. This is an unmitigated natural disaster. It is a nightmare. And Rodgers is now in the grouping of historical great athletes that look pathetic at the end in a different weird uniform. And a little bit like Jordan Wizard years, we're going to be like, wow, remember when Aaron Rodgers was a Jet and how depressing that was? But hell, at least Jordan hit 50 in a game. Now, Jordan's Wizards never made the playoffs, so that's why we look at it as sad. Had that little pouchy belly. He couldn't quite sky anymore. You know, he's slower, but he was still crafty enough to be Michael Jordan in moments. Rodgers is barely that. Rodgers is barely that. And this thing needs to end and end soon. Tell me your thoughts on Aaron Rodgers, because today he takes a sack in the final play of the game. This is 3 or 4 games that come down to either him throwing an interception or taking a sack in the final play, as the Jets season is now really done because they've got 8 losses. But how did it go so wrong this season for the Jets?
I mean, anytime you fire a coach, right, it's just never good. And obviously Coach Salah was not necessarily the issue there, but whatever happened, happened. And the Jets have just been dysfunctional for a long time, it seems like. Again, they're another team in New York who has a lot of good players, but it doesn't always work that way. I mean, the 2 Super Bowl teams we were on, you know, I think we had 1 Pro Bowler, the first one, and 2, maybe 2, the second one. So it's not necessarily all about just having great players. You got to have great chemistry and camaraderie and a great locker room. And I'm not in those buildings, but it doesn't seem like they're all in harmony, right? There's just, you know, they've actually gotten worse since they got rid of Coach Salah. So I don't know. I don't know what this says about Aaron Rodgers or what it doesn't, but he does look a little bit older, not as nimble, obviously, coming off the Achilles, but just as a franchise, I mean, and I'm not banging on the Jets because the Giants aren't much better. Those 2 franchises have really struggled, man, in the last decade.
I think, though, that the issue with the Jets is how do you cater to Aaron Rodgers every whim and then watch him play like this? He wants Nathaniel Hackett as his play caller. He obviously cleared, at the very least, Robert Saleh getting fired. He wants Avante Adams. He wanted Cobb. He wants Lazard. How you let him go to Egypt during OTAs? How can you cater to everything he wants to do and then watch him play like garbage?
Well, let's just say that Aaron Rodgers is not going to be a general manager in the future. Some of his roster picks. I don't know what's going on over there. It does seem like he has a lot to say, just, from the outside looking in. He has not played well. Listen, they got a pretty good backup. Tyrod Taylor can play. You'll never see him just because, right? But again, they lost a game today, and I wouldn't necessarily put that all on the offense. They had a pretty slow start to the day. But again, it's the defense who gives up the big plays at the end of the game today to let Indy score against a guy who was actually benched 2 weeks ago. So that defense, none of it's been good since Coach Salah left, especially the defense. I mean, that used to kind of be where they hung their hat. And the Jets just, don't do anything well.